Hey guys, here I am to take us into a new week of studying the Psalms. How good has it been to be able to do this devotional day by day? Well, I'm here to share with you today Psalm 29. Psalm 29 is written in a thunderstorm. It's literally a description of thunder and lightning and an extraordinary tempest. And we see at the beginning, ascribe to the Lord, O mighty ones, ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due to his name. Worship the Lord in the splendor of his holiness. So there's a little kind of get a sense of worshiping God. Then the voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord thunders over the mighty waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is majestic. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. And it goes on. The voice of the Lord strikes with flashes of lightning. The voice of the Lord twists the oaks and strips the forest bare. And all in his temple cry, glory. So we have a picture of a natural environment where the God of glory is thundering and sending lightning and is in the midst of the storm. We're in a freaky time, aren't we? We're in an extraordinary time where half of the world, I think at the moment, is in lockdown, where we are concerned about this virus that has the ability to spread around the world so quickly, so contagiously, and cause such damage. And it can make us think that we're so small, that we're out of control, that this thing is dominating world events. But I want to come back to nature, because cities speak of the majesty and the ability of man. But nature speaks of the ability and the majesty of God himself. We, here where I live in Hereford in England, just a couple of months ago, we had some terrible floods. It had rained for several days running heavily, and the water coming off of the mountains came down to our area. And you can see here the impact that the floods had in our city. It came ripping through our city and caused so much damage. And so everything that man had done to try and control it, with flood defences, with our ability to build large structures, flood systems, were as nothing when God's nature started to pour through. Because when nature really cuts loose, we have no real defences against that. And this psalm speaks into that. Here in the middle of the storm and the tempest is this extraordinary breaking out of what God is able to do and what his creation can show us. But in Psalm 29, in the last two verses, 10 and 11, the Lord sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord is enthroned as king forever. The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. How about that? I'm just going to tell you another story of a guy I heard speaking the one time. He was from Louisiana in the United States, and he was from a backwoods area. They call them the bayous in Louisiana, very rural, very rough. And he was a rough boy. He didn't come from a Christian background. He was a bit of a shocker. His behaviour was bad. He was a heavy drinker. And he was just 17, 18 years old. And he went to the local bar and he drank way too much and then got into a fight with an older man there. A more mature man, a solid man, but also a rough man. And this man went out to his truck and got a hatchet, a small axe, and came after this guy, chasing after him. Well, this boy ran back to his home because he knew that the force against him was too much. And he was frightened and all of his bravado had gone. When he got home, he said, I was walking backwards up his drive so as not to turn his back to this man with the hatchet. And he said, I heard the door open behind me. And he knew that it was his mother that had come to the doorstep. And he said, I heard, because I knew the sound of hammers going back on a hammer shotgun. Because his mother was there with a shotgun to defend him. And he said, then all of a sudden, all of my bravado came over me. And I'm going to the guy, yeah, come on then. Yeah, you coming for me? Yeah, you want some more? Why? Because of what was behind him. Because of what was defending him. He suddenly had greater strength and, we could say, greater faith. Now in a more holy, righteous environment, where we don't need alcohol, where we don't need a shotgun behind us, what we do have is the God of Psalm 29. The second story for you, someone else that I got to hear a few times and was a wonderful, wonderful preacher, and he was from Canada, and he was saying he had the very first time travelled across the Atlantic Ocean, and it was in a propeller plane, and that's a very, very long journey for a propeller plane. And he was a young man at the time, this is decades ago. And he said we were maybe just 500 feet above the sea for hour after hour crossing the Atlantic Ocean. And he said at one point I was praying, I was saying, God, this is so huge. And he sensed God say, yeah, that was a good day when he created that. We serve the God who created the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. We serve a God who created Mount Everest. But we serve a God who created photosynthesis. We serve a God who created skin cells and who created the molecular structure that this virus wants to take hold of. I don't know about you. Can you hear the hammers going down behind you on the shotgun of faith, where our God, our Father, the creator of heaven and earth, is right behind you to defend you today? Don't speak out how small you are and how out of control you are, but start to speak to your problem and to this virus about our God and how magnificent he is, because he is in control. Verse 10 and 11 again. The Lord sits enthroned over the flood. This is not going to wash you away. He sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord is enthroned as King forever. The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. May you be blessed today with peace, knowing the strength of your Father and that he is in control. Amen.